Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We're learning Mishnah Pesachim, Parakeh, Chapter 5, Mishnah Hey, Mishnah 5. HaPesach Nishchat B'Shalosh Kitais. The Karban Pesach was slaughtered in 3 groups. That means when everybody came on Erev Pesach to the Beis HaMikdash to slaughter the Karban Pesach, they did it in 3 groups. Shenamar, as it says, V'shachatu oisei kol kahal adas Yisrael. The pasuk says, and they shall slaughter it, the entire assembly of the congregation of Israel. So there are 3 words that are used in the pasuk that have a connotation of a group. Kahal, which means assembly, Ve'eda, congregation, Israel. So these three words, we derive that the way the Karban Pesach should be slaughtered is it should be slaughtered in 3 groups. Now, if this is the basis, then as the bartender points out, even if there's not that many people, right? So you theoretically could have put everybody in one shot together. Still, you do it in 3 groups. So it doesn't make a difference how many people you have. It always should be done in 3 groups. Now, Nichnasa Kat Harishayda. The first group entered. Nismale Sazara. The courtyard was filled. Na'alu Dalsai Sazara. They then went and closed the doors of the courtyard. Okay? Didn't let anybody else in. Instead of people trying to shtup in, everybody wants to be first, they want to get it done. And everybody's shtupping in and possibly, coming out like you won't really have too much, but you won't have enough people for 3 groups. Everybody starts pushing in. Therefore, shut the doors. That's it. No one else is coming in. Taku, Heiria Vataku. At some point during this entire service, they blew a tekiah, a true and a tekiah. As we're going to see later on, during the shchit, during the slaughtering of the Karban Pesach, Hallel was said.
Mm-hmm.
And while that was happening, there was a blowing of not a shofar, but of chatzaitris, of trumpets.
Mm-hmm.
And the trumpets, they blew a tekiah, true tekiah. The same way on Rosh Hashanah, we have a trua, straight sound, tekiah, straight sound, trua, broken sound, tekiah, straight sound. They did the same thing during the slaughtering of the Karban Pesach, but with trumpets. Next, HaKayanim Ayim de Meshurai Shurais. The Kayanim would line up in rows. They would line up from where the slaughtering was taking place until the altar. They lined up. The point is that typically, as we mentioned before, when you slaughter an animal for a carbon, there's somebody, a Kohen, who catches the blood in a klisharis, in a sanctified vessel, in the vessel of the Beis HaMikdash. You carry it over to the altar, and the blood is thrown on it, or sprinkled on it. In this case, as we're going to see, you didn't have one Kohen transporting the blood. It was actually done in a row. It was done in an assembly line. And that assembly line stretched from where the shechita slaughtering was taking place to the altar. And this was done with 2 rows of kohanim. And in their hands, each one was holding a silver bowl or a gold bowl. Shura shakula kesef kesef. You had one entire row of silver bowls. Shura shakula zav. And you had one row that was entirely gold. Basically, it looked nicer when an entire row had the same color instead of, one person holding gold, one person holding silver. An entire row of the same color was nicer. It was more pleasing to look at, and that brings greater honor to the Beis HaMikdash. They didn't mix it, meaning one line was completely of the same type of bowl. Okay. And these bowls did not have a bottom to them, meaning they were wide on top and they basically came to an angle. They were sharp on the bottom, because if it's sharp on the bottom, then you can't put it down on the ground, right? Because it's going to tip over. And that was done purposely. Shema yanicham v'yikrash hadam, because we're afraid that maybe a Kohen will put down one of those bowls, forget about it, the blood will congeal, and they won't be able to sprinkle it anymore, and that sacrifice won't be valid anymore.
That particular one.
Right. So what's happening is that, the Kohanim are going to be, as we say, they're going to be handling a lot of a lot of bowls of blood. And it's possible that at some point one of them may feel that he should put one down. Well, if it has a bottom and it sits there, he may forget about it. And therefore, these bowls purposely came to a point on the bottom so that there was no way for them to put them down, so that problem shouldn't
They're
occur.
conical.
Right.
Why did I see it?
Have a
with the
wonderful
round?
day.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rabbi.
everybody.
Thank you.
Typically, they were round.